What's up, everyone? Got my glasses on. Maybe I'll take them off. Don't think I need them. Decided to come on the second channel here. Been out of town. Was in Los Angeles for 4 days. I talked about that in my live stream the other day. Live stream yesterday, maybe, on the main channel. But I figured I'd come on here for a later night hang. I couldn't see any of the comments yesterday. Now I see comments. Thank God. Literally could not see anything. Roberta, Rick, John, Victor, good to see everybody. Yeah, so I couldn't see anything. And I had such a whirlwind trip in Los Angeles. And got some great interviews coming out. Like I said yesterday, Daniel Lanois, Butch Vig, Robert DeLeo from Stone Temple Pilots. Just absolutely amazing, fascinating interviews. The Daniel Lanois one was, I want to say 4 hours or something. It was funny. So we're talking and we go about 2 hours or so and he says, and I was feeling like, well, I don't want to, this is long to go on with an interview because I usually don't go 2 hours. So I said, well, I have a lot more stuff that I want to ask you, and but I don't want to, but we could do it another time. There's so many other records I want to ask you about. He's like, well, just ask. Let's talk about them now. We're here. So he says, he goes. He says, Mike, can you get us some coffee? And so Mike, who works with me, goes and gets me and Daniel coffee. And we keep going on for another 2 hours. So, and then we went down into his studio and into his recording space and talked about his gear. Oh, man, it was absolutely fascinating. So I see people saying in here, we lost Gary Rossington from Leonard Skinner. It's honestly hard to keep up on everything. I did I've done mentions of Tom Verlaine that I would love to do a video on. I'm going to do a video on Wayne Shorter. I'm going to, I talked about Wayne on Tim Pierce's channel the other day when I was out there. Tim and I did a live stream and we talked about David Lindley and about Wayne, and it's just, honestly, it's hard to keep up. It really is. Really, really is. And it's a sad thing. And Joey DeFrancesco, who I've talked about on here. I mean, a lot of people don't see every single video that I do. Or I actually make videos on other platforms occasionally, on Instagram Live and things. The interviewing part of my channel was the interviewing part of my channel is really kind of a recent thing. I did interviews at the beginning when I first started the channel. I had a thing called Sounding Off. I did interviews with a lot of jazz people. I had Gary Husband, the drummer. I had Dennis Chambers, Chris Potter, the great saxophonist, Marty Friedman, John Petrucci, Steve Vai, Steve Hunt from who played with Alan Holdsworth, excellent keyboardist, love pianist, love Steve. I interviewed Victor Wooten back then. I mean, many stuff. I had another bassist, Jeff Berlin. I had I had Kiko on much more recently. I'm talking way back 6 years ago on my channel. If you look up Sounding Off, I think a lot of the interviews I put in the interview section of the in the playlist, but I interviewed Scott Henderson, Lee Sklar. Yes, many, 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 many musicians. So if you haven't seen those, that's a cool thing to check out. Check out my Sounding Off. Look up Sounding Off on my channel. There's a bunch of interviews that that come up. But when I was doing those were all Skype interviews. So it was you don't get the same kind of connection that through Skype. And the back then, back in 2016, the Skype thing was really bad. The connections on some of them. My Marty Friedman one was so, unfortunately, so out of sync that and it's Bubba asked me about Gentle Giant. You know, I can list 10 bands right now that I've not done interviews on that I could have, that I just haven't gotten around to. You know, there's only so much time, and you know, some of the artists are, you know, you just can't play their music still. Rick, why haven't you done anything on Prince? Well, for the same reason I haven't played any Beatles on my channel. You know, you can't really play the Beatles. You get you get your videos taken down, and I actually had a takedown, and I haven't mentioned it all at all, but I had a takedown and a copyright strike that was recent. But I'm gonna make a video about that. Normally I do these things immediately when I get them, but I haven't done anything. And pretty ticked off about it, honestly. I'm not sure how to address it. It's with a big organization too. It's not with a label, but I'll address it when the time is right. Anyhow, but those are things I don't want to spend my channel talking about, that kind of stuff, really. But so I'm gonna think about that, and then the interview thing is kind of ramped up. I have a couple more interviews coming up. So I did 3, and I have some more that are coming up imminently that I'm going to be doing. I never talk about who I interview unless they're done. I have an interview that's in the can with the great Chuck Rainey, one of my favorite bass players ever, one of the most recorded bass players. That is. Hey, Alan, what's up? My Chuck Rainey interview, I'm not done editing it yet. And Chuck was here in the studio. Oh my God, he is hilarious. I had so much fun with Chuck. If you guys don't know Chuck, he's on a million different records. He played with Aretha Franklin, King Curtis. He's on so many records. He's on 5 Steely Dan records or so. For those of you that have seen my Keith Jarrett interview, that was really a highlight of my life. These things, I mean, these interviews are all highlights. Getting to interview these absolute legends, there's nothing really that's then can compare to that. Somebody actually put in the, I have an app that shows you, you know, what your latest things are. It's called YouTube Studio. Every YouTuber has it. I just opened it up and I saw this comment. It shows you comments, just the latest 4 or 5 comments, and I saw a comment on the Keith Jarrett video. And it was something like, I screenshot it because it was interesting about how let me say this here exactly. At what point does it hit you about who you're actually sitting with, and how amazing that is that you're actively in the moment, not of just making music history journalism, but also being the luckiest, most appreciative version of yourself? Well, I wouldn't say I'm making any type of musical historic journalism, but the luckiest, most appreciative version of yourself. I just thought that was kind of an it was interesting. Oh, this is the one. This is the one. It says, Rick, these were two apart, and this one's like, Rick, this is very important work you've done, like those Library of Congress recordings they've done. Feel proud. This is awesome. The most amazing thing here, of course, is watching Keith's face as he listens to his younger self playing Solar. Unbelievable. I wonder what the heck was going through his mind hearing that. Did you ever feel like crying during this? I did, sitting right next to one of the greatest musicians in our history. Wow. And I wrote, yes. Did I ever? Thank you, John. I wrote, yes. Did I feel like crying? Yes. Sitting next to one of the most amazing. I don't consider myself a journalist. One of my favorite parts of the Keith interview is when I said, well, how I stopped and I said, I don't do interviews, and Keith's like, well, I just do conversations. He goes, that's all I'm good for, and we both laugh, and it was hilarious. It was the perfect start of that interview. And what's up, Elliot? Good to see you. And what a honor it was to interview Keith. Got to go to his house twice over the course of 2 weeks. The first time was to meet him and his wife Akiko, and they were so hospitable. Oh, they were so great. We had such a great time. There was a thing that I didn't get in the interview that I'll talk about here. So, and I realized why I didn't get it in the interview, because Keith said it the first time when I met with him, and we were sitting out in his studio. So the first time, so no cameras or anything. So we're sitting in there. What's up, Brett? Good to see you. So Keith and I are sitting there, and I said, Keith, is there anyone that you, and I don't know why I didn't ask him this, is there anyone that you really wanted to play with that you never did? And he said, yes, Wayne Shorter. He said he had a chance to play with them, but it was when he was playing with Charles Lloyd. Wayne asked him to play on a record. And he couldn't do it. I don't know why. He told me the circumstances, but I don't remember exactly, so I don't want to quote Keith on it. Next time I see Keith, I will ask him about that, but he said he would love to have played with Wayne. And this is, what's up, Renzo? This is whenever it was, back in December or so. And that really was, it was, when Wayne passed, it just popped into my mind. Oh my God, I didn't get that on film. I didn't ask him that. How did I not ask him that? It was really, just malpractice on my part. So, but I can tell you that Keith said that. Hey, Audrey, he is the, hey, Deb, he's the person that Keith never got to play with that he wanted to. Right? I mean, wow. Wow. Just kills me. And then, I mentioned this yesterday or so, but Keith also said that after we packed up the cameras, he said, did I ever tell you that I was friends with Jimi Hendrix? I was like, what? Get the cameras back, and he was friends with Janis Joplin. They were talking about doing a project together. So Keith was friends with Jimi Hendrix. Imagine Keith and Jimi Hendrix hanging out in the 60s, right? Just imagine them hanging out at a club. Jimi Hendrix and Keith Jarrett. That's like, what? That is just so incredibly great, right? Deb, the room would explode. Exactly. So the guys, my three guys that were recording the interview had packed up. They were outside, and he said that, and him and I were just hanging out in his living room, and he said, did I tell you before that that Jimi Hendrix and I were that Jimi Hendrix and I were friends. We used to hang out together. I was like, what? Oh, what? I think he said that he was living in San Francisco at the time Keith was. This is back in the late '60s, I guess. It was just amazing. And what else did he tell me? I'm gonna hopefully I'll do another. The first time I went there, Keith played the clavichord for me. Wow. If you don't know Book of Ways, I played a little segment of it in the video. And I would play a couple pieces from it now, but it would get the video blocked. The thing with ECM is that I have to put the video out, it gets blocked, and then it gets put back up. So, but Book of Ways 4, I'm going to tell you the ones that are, they're all great. It's 2 clavichords. Clavichords were invented in the 1400s, and they're very quiet. They're so quiet. When Keith played it for me, the first time I was there, I said, I didn't realize it was so quiet. He said, yeah, we had the mics up on it. We had to crank the mics up. And because, you know, Bach, they used to practice on it. It's a little tiny thing. He played me as virginal too. And I don't remember if I had it in there that it might have not have made the edit. It was the first time, but he said that he was talking about if I knew of anyone that worked on virginals and clavichords to let him know. So it was amazing, the clavichord, hearing him play that. But on the Janine, but on the John had surgery to repair his clavichord, my brother John, so I could throw a football. So the clavichord recording on Book of Ways. Oh, so I was going to tell you which ones to listen to. I mean, they're all great. I'll just tell you some of my favorite ones. Number 4, number 6, number 10, number 11, number 12, number 17. I'll say those again. 4, 6, 10, 11, 12, 17. Those are, I listened to the whole thing, but those on Book of Ways, Keith's record, there are 2 clavichords that he's obviously playing at the same time. And it's unbelievable. I mean, really it is. Some of it sounds like Baroque music, but with modern though. Some of it, I sent one, number 10, to Tosin Abasi. And I said, Tosin, this sounds like progressive metal. And it really does. It's unbelievable. Number 10 is so heavy, and the rhythms sound like djent. It does. It's unbelievable. And Tosin wrote me back. He said, wow. It's so, the rhythms are, it's like Meshuggah, but it's Keith Jarrett playing what he plays. Dan, behind your studio windows are 3 racks of guitars. One has Les Pauls. Who makes those guitar racks? Can you tell me the brand or model? I think they're Gator. I'm pretty sure that's what the model is on them. But you know what? I can look. I will look. Let's see here. I will look. These are Gator cases. Gator. Gator. They're great. I bought them at Guitar Center. They're excellent. The middle one that I had in my band Billionaire, the one, you can't see it, it's behind the Marshall. But the 2 outer ones here, wherever they are, these 2 outer ones, right there. Those 2 are from Guitar Center, and they hold 6. Green screen. John, exactly. green. That's a green screen. Green screen. So let me go back to this thing. If anyone knows a person that fixes virginals or works on clavichords, Elliot, maybe you know. Keith needs a little work done on those. So that's pretty cool. So I don't know if that was in the interview. A lot of things are a blur to me because there's so much to keep track of, especially going up there twice. Well, you guys are on here. I want to remind you that we have a sale going on. If you don't have any of my educational products, they're all for 99 bucks. Go to my store, rickbeato.com. That's what helps fund the channel. That's how I pay to go and fly and do these interviews, stay in a hotel, hire a film crew. I have to hire a film crew and a sound person. Usually sometimes it's 3 people, like on these interviews. Sometimes it's 5. The ones I did with, Chris Novoselic and Kim Thiel and Jack Endino, with 4 people in it. You got to have 5. It's a 5-person shoot. You basically have to have a producer at that point, because there's just too many. There are too many things to keep track of. You have a sound person. You have multiple camera ops. I pay for it myself, and I don't have any sponsors. I will not have. I hope to never have sponsors. I never say never, but I've never had a sponsor. I don't want to. I don't want to have a sponsor. Double K321. How do I find a video crew? That's a great question. So Mike Loy, who works with me, who you see on the channel sometimes, Aaron is moderating now. Aaron's been working with me since the beginning of my channel. Aaron and I talk 25 times a day. He's, without him, none of this would happen. I always say he's the brains behind the operation. And Mike and I, Mike has been working with me for a long time. He goes on these. Mike is basically the production coordinator. He goes on all my live shows, and he goes to the all the video shoots. He hires the film crews, and he deals with the studios. Because not only is it the film crews, I have to rent the studios with all these things too, right? So there's studios in big cities. So you got to pay for the film crews, got to pay for the studios, got to pay for the travel, got to pay for the hard drives, all that stuff. So by purchasing stuff in the store, not only does it help you become a better musician, but it helps the channel, helps me, makes me able to do these things. So I just put the money back into making content. And, I have Mike and Billy that work here with me. So, Mike doesn't live here. He travels with me on all the trips, which I've been doing a lot of lately. But it's been incredibly rewarding this week. I mean, to have Daniel Lanois and Butch Vig back to back. Wow. They worked on, between the 1980 and 1996 or whatever, 98, whatever, they made the most important records. 99, they made the most important records that ever. Yes, Alan, Daniel Lanois, I interviewed him for 4 hours. Thank you, Janine. I interviewed him for 4 hours this week. 4.5 hours, I think. And it was absolutely fascinating talking about all this stuff. Wrecking Ball, Emmylou Harris. I talked about all these records. I can't even remember now because I haven't watched the footage yet, but we talked about Robbie Robertson, we talked about Bob Dylan, we talked about Willie Nelson, we talked about Emmylou Harris, we talked about U2, we talked about Peter Gabriel, we talked about, I don't know, with Butch, all the things we talked about, Garbage, Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins. Silver Sun Pickups. He produced the last two records, and I didn't even get to that. I'm gonna do another thing with Butch because it took us 2 hours to get through all that. Neil Young, Alan. Yes, he did. He worked with Neil Young in the studio that I went to, which was amazing at Daniel's place in L.A. Oof, I mean, it's amazing, unbelievable. Brett, any chance of getting Iden back to the States? Yes, absolutely. That's something that's going to happen, hopefully sooner than later. Probably after my show in London. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. We're definitely some Richard Thompson sometime for sure. So the what's up, Dave? The gig in London is on the 30th of this month, last day of the month. No, second to last day of the month. Um, that one I announced in October. It's been sold out since then. They'll probably open up some tickets. I would say I have to ask Mike about that. Maybe if there's any tickets that are available. You know, sometimes they have things that open up at the last minute that they keep on hold for whatever reason, usually for the artists. So yeah, so there's that. That is going on. Um, I think I'm going to be doing a video at Abbey Road Studios um, in Studio 2. Not positive, but I'm pretty positive. Those of you that know Abbey Road 2, that's where the Beatles did basically all of their records, other than Let It Be, which they did some in a studio in the rehearsal space, and then some on the top of the Apple Core building. Um, Daniel says, in your head, knowing that you could interview Kurt Cobain himself nowadays if he was alive, we don't know that. What would I ask him or ask them? What subjects would I talk about? Thanks, Rick. I'd ask him about his melodic sense, how he imagines melodies, because he was one of the best melody writers ever. Um, Mary, Abbey Road Studios. Yes, so Abbey Road 2. That's hopefully going to happen. I've talked to the people at Abbey Road, so I've gone that far. Um, Michael Landau interview, session solos. So I spoke with Mike probably about 2 weeks ago or so, and we're going to do it. It's finding the time to do it. He's very busy touring right now. So, but he promised me he would do something. So it's just a matter of making it happen. It was great because Luke introduced me to Mike. We know so many people in common. We have so many friends in common, but I've never met him before. Um, um, YouTube guitarist Rick, great kind. If anything, maybe something on Latin American guitarists, guitar composers, folk, classical, jazz, Polaris, Tango. Tuning in from Mexico. Okay, tuning in from Mexico. So uh, it's interesting. When I asked Keith about playing, why he never played any bossa novas, really, and he said that he talked about finding the right drummers to play them, right? And um, there's a lot of Latin music that I would love to talk about. It's the difficult thing is coming up with a topic a way to make video content that has a storyline related to it. That's kind of the when making videos. This is where I think I hope I've improved as a video. Martin Landau, not Martin Landau, no, Michael Landau. Um, there's I think I've become better at making videos, and because of because of being able to tell a story and having a story to tell. And when you're talking about, okay, making making a video on rhythm, on particular rhythms, there needs to be some type of a thing, because the teaching videos people just don't connect with, and it's hard to make a story out of it. So I just have to think about that. But I have an idea though. But it would involve traveling to some of these places and then talking with local musicians. Kudos on you. You'll hear it. Podcast review of your Keith Jarrett interview. I have no idea what that is, what that means, Ed. But thank you. You'll hear it. What is you'll hear it? I don't even know what that is. Is that a podcast interview of my or review of my interview? Maybe I should know what that is. Have I ever interviewed the band U2? I have not interviewed. I've tried to get an interview with them, but I never knew anyone that knew them until I met Daniel Lanois. No. At some point, I hope to interview them. I should make another Tears for Fears videos. I made a couple. Oh, I love Tears for Fears, man. So good. GDK, what's this? Your teaching videos that you do are unique because you actually put things in context of actual music. That's terribly important. Thank you. Yeah, so it's like, having context. Having context is really important, and trying to explain why it's important to learn things, because that is, you'll hear it as Open Studios podcast. That's what it is. Oh, as a matter of fact, I talked to Peter Martin, who I love. Oh my God, what a great piano player! I forgot that was the name of his podcast, Open Studio. Peter and I have been friends. He's a fantastic pianist. We've been friends for probably four years now. I'm going to have Peter on my channel. I'm going to have Peter here. I talked to him 2 weeks ago or so, or a week ago, something like that. Peter's amazing. Oh man, he's so good. He is so good. I was telling him, I was like, Peter, he did an Instagram post and somebody transcribed all the things you are. And he's like, oh, I said, that was amazing. He goes, oh no, it wasn't good. I was like, what are you, crazy? It was incredible. Not good. It was unbelievable. He was a fantastic player. Great player. Great groove, his line. Oh man, beautiful. Love Peter. And a lovely guy. Fantastic guy. Lives in St. Louis. And knows how to light a piano properly. I love that he. Pianos are hard to film. And the first time I talked to him, I told him that, and he said, "Yeah, there's shadows that you get from the black keys, right? That go and they hide your fingers. I mean, you have to." He does a direct overhead shot, and then he does a side shot. And sometimes they do both at the same time. It's really great. The overhead shot, once again, is hard to light because your head can be in the way of it. If you look at the Keith video, I was watching the section where Keith is listening to Solar, and Keith, in the video of Keith from the 80s, he never touches the pedals, ever. It's unbelievable. He never touches the pedals. But he's leaning over the piano. He's leaning back. I mean, those things are really hard to film. And I was noticing that they're going, they have multiple cameras, but sometimes they just go to his feet. And I'm thinking, yeah, it's interesting what Keith's doing with his feet, but maybe they just didn't have a good camera shot because he moved around so much. And he would talk about how he would, have to bring a bed with them he said that in his 2014 interview or speech. to the NEA that he did. He talked about having to. T. Price, thank you so much. Talked about having to bring a bed with him to sleep because he don't ever play piano like he does with all his contortions and everything, because it's really bad for your back and your neck and everything. So no pedals. Hard to film somebody that moves around a lot like that, really is, on piano. So I always I watch a lot of videos on how people are filmed on different instruments to see what are good angles to light with. Like drums, another hard thing. When I interviewed Bernard Purdy, see, everybody looks different too. You know, their setup's different. If you depending on how their drums are set, sometimes it's hard to get a shot of the foot, because a drumming video. So I like to have a shot that comes in through over the hi-hat to see the snare, and then see the person that you can basically that you can zoom in on, right? But then I like an overhead shot from the drummer, from this side of the drummer, looking down on the hi-hat side, down on the drums, that catches the drummer's leg so that you can see where they're playing, right? In some videos you'll see where they'll have a cutout on a lot of drum channels, have a cutout for the foot. It's thank you, Jared. It's really I think it gets distracting when there's too many angles in a video. It reminded me of watching, like when Daniel Lanois was telling me about how he mic'd the drums with an RCA 44 ribbon mic over the kind of the center, capturing the drum kit, and then he had a D12 AKG D12 for the kick drum, and he had a mic over near the snare that kind of caught the snare and the hi-hat. But he said really those two mics, just the RCA ribbon mic and the thank you, Jared, and the other one is real. It's really fascinating to see how people capture these things. But my point was going to be that Glenn John's 3-mic technique that he said he did that because he wanted all the mics out of the way of the drummers, because Keith Moon had so many drums and John Bonham had a wide kit and everything, and he wanted to figure out a way that he got a good image of the drums without having a million mics around, where you get a lot of weird phasing and stuff too. So that's Simon wants to send me something. Just email me on my rickbeato.com. CC, anything Crystal Silence. Crystal Silence is referring to the Gary Burton Chick Corea record that came out in ECM that I can't play. Special on Art Tatum, Merlot 1970. I started working on an Art Tatum video, actually. So I talked about Art Tatum on this channel. I was showing a couple Art Tatum records on a video recently, and I thought I'm going to start working on a video. Start working on some ideas about Art Tatum. What else here? Once again, my sale is going on right now. For those of you that my Beato Book Interactive, which is web-based. It's my Beato book that's now web-based with videos and audio content for everything, which is really, something I never imagined I would be able to do in the future. I mentioned that yesterday or the day before, whenever it was on. So my whole bundle of all my 4 courses are $99. That's what funds the channel. I don't do 8-minute acts. Brings back memories. There you go. The old days. Rick, would I do a TED Talk soon? Probably not. I've gotten asked to do TED Talks a bunch of times, but it's like, not sure what I talk about in a TED Talk. You have to have them worked out, memorized, and I don't have time for that. And anytime anybody's come with a TED Talk, they don't come with ideas on what they want me to talk about. So, any chance of me interviewing Rush? I hope there's a chance of Getty and Alex. My Beato Book Bundle, $99. You can improve yourself, ear training program, 80 video lessons, hundreds of interactive training modules. Beato Beginner Guitar, if you've never played before, you can do that. And my Quick Lessons Pro guitar course. So there, I have to do that. Those are my my ads that I put on here. This is a thing, my late night show that I used to do with my old friend Peter Smart. And I miss Peter. He used to interview Maynard Keenan. I interviewed Maynard. Rustlin, what's up? What do you mean interview Maynard Keenan? I interviewed him. Go search it on my channel. How'd you miss that one? I just hit 1 million views. Best part of the Maynard video was when Maynard said after the end of it, he goes, "You got a few minutes? Can I drive you around town?" Oh my God, it was amazing. I wish that I could have filmed that. So we get in Maynard's Jeep and he takes me for a tour around town. Then we went up to his winery. I've mentioned this on here before, I think. That was unbelievable. Really, really incredible. Beautiful place there in Jerome, Arizona. Yeah. It was funny. Mike and I went on that. Mike's like, yeah, so we're gonna drive to LA after this. It's a it's a 5-hour drive, okay, and I had a show in LA and I was doing an interview there too, and Mike's 5-hour drive was 9 hours. It was like 5-hour drive. What through a wormhole or something, Mike? To go from basically Phoenix to Los Angeles. Wow. That killed me sitting there in the SUV. Mike's like, "Well, I could have driven there in 4 hours, but I didn't want to make you nervous." Mateus Asado, did somebody say interview Mateus? I've already interviewed Mateus. I've had Mateus on my channel probably 3 times or so. Love Mateus. What a great, phenomenal player. Great guy. Oh, the best. Aaron just put up the Beato Ultimate Bundle, $99. RickBeato.com. Like I said, that's what funds the channel. Really, for these kind of trips and everything. To really, you can do something for yourself, improve yourself as a musician, and it helps me keep getting out there, traveling, and doing these things. YouTube guitarist. So yes, you have a. I will put that down on my video that I'm going to make. I still have to thank you, Renzo. I have to come up with a concept to talk about this music and these musicians associated with the music, which it needs some kind of a storyline, something goes with it. Somebody says Kevin Shields. I'd love to interview Kevin Shields. John McLaughlin. I've talked to John's manager, and I'm hoping that's going to happen soon. Okay. Jay Maskus. I'd love to interview Jay Maskus. Um, um, Chief 2112. I'm an old guy who's been playing guitar for about 3 years. Love your channel. You have been a great help. I'd love to hear you talk about the breakdown. Alex Lyson first solo and Levia strongly out. Okay. I've done 3 or 4 Rush videos, 2 What Makes a Song Greats, and more. I've probably done 5 Rush videos. So I was hoping the next time I do a Rush video is going to be with the remaining Rush members. That would be really great. I'm not sure how that can happen, but no such thing as too much Rush. Helium Road. That is true. Genesis. Rush equals guaranteed views. Nothing equals guaranteed views. That's funny. George Benson. I would love to interview George Benson. Skunk Baxter. I saw Skunk Baxter at the NAMM show last year. And I couldn't get over to him in time to talk to him. And then I could not find him. He walked by me. He was probably about 10 feet away. And somebody was talking to me. A couple people were talking to me. And I couldn't just say, oh, excuse me, and push them out of the way. It was, I was having a conversation. And I thought, oh, I'll go find Skunk after. And then I could not find him. I would love, I'll try to make that happen. Mark Knopfler trying to make that happen, want to talk about a couple things. Terry Date, I'd love to do that. I'm trying to do more producers. This is a the videos with Daniel Lanois and Butch Vig that I just did are my first interviews of producers, I think. I want to say a Steve Gadd interview. I'm not saying that that's going to happen soon, but it might. Caveman Shirley. I know Kevin very well. I've known Kevin for since 1999. I love Kevin. He's amazing. And he's not only is he super talented, one of the most talented people, producers and engineers, but he's also a great guy. I talked to him. We video chatted. It's probably been, I'd say 8-9 months now. So yeah, that's gonna I definitely need to have Kevin. I've talked to Kevin about it. I'd really like to do it in person. I had Jack Endino on here. I don't know why somebody keeps writing Jack Endino. Jack was in my video with Chris from Nirvana and oh my gosh. I guess you guys don't watch my main channel, from Chris and Kim from Soundgarden. Steven Wilson, you must have not searched it, or you must have missed it, because I interviewed Steven Wilson. It was a great interview. I'm going to see Steven when I go to London, I hope. He's, oh, what a talented dude. Wow. I've also interviewed John Petrucci and Jordan Rudess on my channel, both. Look them up. It's kind of hard when there's I looked it up, 1,148 videos. I misspoke the other day. I said 1,200 videos, I think, yesterday. And I only have 1,148 only. But if you count this channel too, then it would be way over 1,200. So I want to play you something here that is a new record that is fantastic. I don't know if this is going to get blocked or not. I'm just really nervous about it, kind of. But I'm going to play it anyways. The DeLeo brothers. I see somebody misspelling their name. It's not spelled like that. What's up, Tower Records? I interviewed Robert DeLeo, who is a paisan and fantastic songwriter from Stone Temple Pilots, bassist, incredible bassist, and a friend of mine. And I got together with him in LA and did an interview, and that'll be coming out soon. And I got him to play the bass part from Tripping on a Hole. It's so good. Man, it's so good. It was funny to watch. He played right along with the record, and it's amazing. So good. Okay, so I'm going to play you something here. I'll announce one more time my Beato bundle. Sorry, I don't have advertisers. I just advertise my own things, and they're things that will help you become a better musician. My ear training course, my Beato Book Interactive, my Beato Beginner Guitar, and my Beato Quick Lessons, which is more like intermediate to advanced guitar. That has 5 hours of video. It's 28 different long lessons based on my quick lessons that I do, but extended. Have I talked to Miles Kennedy already? Yes. Look it up. Miles is on this channel, just like Brian May is on this channel, Rick Beato too. Some of these interviews I have on this channel, some I have in the other channel. I kind of was mixing it up. I was thinking I was going to put the interviews on this channel, but then I just ended up putting them on the main. Well, I put them kind of on both channels, depending. So Miles is incredible. Oh my God, so good. Okay, I'm going to play something. Like I said, it might get blocked. If it gets blocked, well, it got blocked because of this. This is from Brad Meldau's new record, and it's his I Am the Walrus. And I've driven my daughter Layla nuts playing this, but it is beautiful. Listen to this rendition of I Am the Walrus. Brad Meldau. Oh, right there. Coda. Beautiful. Then right here. Woo! Woo! Beautiful. Oh man. Yeah. Woo! Wow, that is beautiful. Now, that being said, got an incredible song to work with too. You know, one of the best songs ever written, right there. But Keith, Brad did that in front of a live audience. I found it on, you guessed it, YouTube. There's a version of Brad talking about this. This is the first release from his new record, which just came out. And so he did a version for a video, like teaser video, where he plays a different version of this. That's Brad Mehldau. Everybody keeps asking, who is that? Brad Mehldau, the great jazz pianist, Brad and composer. Well, I found the video on YouTube of the concert that he did this in. So I don't know if they were all done at the same concert, maybe. But you can hear that there's audience noise. They clap after the thing. It's great. It's got 11 songs on it. 11 tracks. Came out February 10th. It just came out last month, like a month ago. Not even a month ago, 3 weeks ago. I love to have Brad on the channel. That will happen. I've been in touch with Brad about it and stuff. So that will happen. Tori Amos. People keep putting Tori Amos in there. I'd love to interview Tori. Oh man, Tori is so good. So good. Let's see here. Rick, why no video on David Crosby's death? Because I didn't make a video on it. I haven't made a video on about 10 people that have died, important people that have died, because I just, I'm one person. I can't make a video on, eventually I get around to making a video on David Crosby, but it really be about Crosby, Stills, and Nash. And I'll talk about David in particular, but, the reality is that, every person, there's so many important musicians that we've lost over in the past 4 months. Christine McVie, David Crosby, Tom Verlaine, Wayne Shorter, David Lindley. It's unbelievable. And these things are really, they take a toll on you. Jeff Beck, when these things happen, when I'm out of town, I just can't, I've been traveling so much lately, and David Crosby passed away when I was out of town, and I just can't. And it's really, honestly, it's draining. Making to do them. I'd rather have some distance and make the videos. With a little space after. Jeff Beck, that was kind of a unique thing. That happened on the day when I was interviewing, when I was interviewing Steve Lukather. So Steve and I had breakfast. We did our interview, and then we had dinner together. In between the time we had the interview and dinner, we found out Jeff Beck had passed away. And I don't remember when I did the live stream. I did my live stream with Tim Pierce, because that was the only way I could get through it. I had to do it with Tim. I mean, it's these things are tough. These things are tough to do. They really, really are. So that's one of the reasons. I mean, it's what does Steve Lukather eat for breakfast? What did he eat for breakfast? I don't know. I thought he had eggs or something. I can't remember. It'd be great if I could interview Tal Wilkenfeld. I have been friends with Tal for a few years, and I will have her on the channel. Yes, absolutely. She's awesome. I've talked to her since Jeff passed, and I'm obviously was hard for everybody that was a massive fan of him, but especially for people that played with him for a long time. Has to be. Anyhow, so I'm working on some more important interviews, and so some of the people that I've tried to get, like Tom Schultz, that's never going to happen. It's just not. I've tried every way I can. The few people that know him, that interact with him, it's like an impossibility. Unfortunately, I mean, I don't know. I don't know when. I don't know what to do about that. So I never got to interview Wayne Shorter. I didn't get to interview Alan Holdsworth. Donald Fagen, I can't figure out a way to, some of these people are, if you have to have a connection with them somehow. So that's the thing. Anyways, you guys are the best. Hopefully my stream doesn't get taken down for playing the Brad Meldau, I'm the Walrus. I don't know if it will. If it does, you know why. You guys are the best. I really appreciate it. I didn't mean to get on a down note with the all the people that have passed. If it gets taken down, he'll aim right. It's our secret. Well, that's why. I wanted to play this. I had it queued up, and I thought, well, this might get taken down. So that's why I put Rick's Inner Circle Late Night Hangout. Rick's Inner Circle Late Night Hangout that may get blocked. So if it does, then you guys heard it here. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great, great week, and we'll be seeing you soon. You guys are the best. Take care.